Hello, everyone. I'm very proud to be here today and share our experiences navigating these truly challenging times. I'm very thankful to my team who helped me to prepare this presentation. I will provide an overview of the COVID-19, its impact on our operations and company's response. And I will be looking at it from the perspective of two countries, Singapore and Myanmar. As Joe mentioned, our company is registered and headquartered in Singapore, but we operate in Myanmar. So I'll be covering those two countries. And they are very different countries, different economies. However, both of them play an important role in oil and gas sector in Asia. Myanmar is one of the largest natural gas exporters to China and Thailand, and Singapore is a leading refining, trading, and oil and gas equipment and services hub in Asia. So let me start with an overview of Pacific Hand Energy. As Joe mentioned, we are a private oil and gas company, and we have two production sharing contracts onshore Myanmar, total covering 42 square kilometers and representing 40% of the entire area of onshore Myanmar basins. So let me tell a few words of how we ended up in this part of the world in Asia. So in early 2012, our founding member, EPC company Holloman Corporation, was active in the region, including the EPC contracts in PNG and drilling projects in Australia. And back at the time, Myanmar has just undergone crucial by-elections in which the National League for Democracy has won the majority after the long decades of the military rule in the country. So the new government has launched a series of political and economic reforms, including end of media censorship, giving freedom to NGOs, upgrading the banking system. So the change was tremendous, and this of course allowed some Western sanctions to be lifted. So European Union and US started lifting sanctions in 2012, and it allowed many international companies to enter or re-enter Myanmar market again. So in 2013, Myanmar government has announced the bidding round, the first official bidding round for its onshore and offshore concessions, in which we participated. And as a result of the bidding round, we've got this two onshore blocks. Other recipients of the licenses included majors and super majors and international companies such as Eni, Petronas, ONGC, Shell, Statoil, Total, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. We were among three companies that were awarded two onshore blocks each, and as a result, we've signed two PSCs in September 2014 and have commenced our operations. As mentioned, our company is registered in Singapore, and therefore on slide 5 of my presentation, you will see a summary of roles that Singapore plays in the region as an oil and gas hub. You may hear very often Singapore is called as an undisputed oil hub in Asia. It's because it's a real oil refining and trading center. It's a home to over 3,000 established marine and offshore engineering firms, various supply bases. It's a well-known global investment hub and finance center. And it's also a transit point for major shipments from the western to the eastern part of the world. So Singapore has also cemented its position as an important and leading digital hub, and I will cover it later. It will play an important role in their response to COVID. Singapore is ranked very high in education, quality of life, personal safety, and housing, making it one of the leading places for the digital to grow. It has also a world-class health system and very stringent rules and policy, which helped to control the pandemic when it hit Singapore. So on the next slide, slide 6, you will see the COVID timeline in Singapore. And with the first cases confirmed on 23rd of January 2020, you will notice that in less than a month from that, The Unity budget was allocated, launched, and announced. And then the second wave hit Singapore somewhere around, hit hard really in March. And until April, the situation remained very critical. And then Singapore appeared to be on top of the outbreak and it was taking under full control. So on slide 7, you will see the historical GDP growth. On the last side, you will see in the last 5 years, Singapore was having a stable and positive growth until the pandemic. And on the right side of the slide, you'll see the industries that were severely affected and supported by the government. So the current forecast of Singapore's growth is revised to, of course, to negative per capita growth. You will see that also Singapore, later in my presentation, played an important role. Their response, their experiences in COVID, they played an important role. The target for Singapore government was to save 100% of the jobs for people and to support both businesses and people. So till now, our company, so as any other company registered in Singapore, received the financial support from the government, and also all individuals, families, people, both Singaporeans and permanent residents receive support from the government. And you will see on the next slide the budget that Singapore allocated, and it's really amazing. Almost 93 billion Singaporean dollars, which is equivalent approximately 72 billion US dollars. That's the total budget allocated for support of the families, businesses, and stabilization of the economy, saving jobs, supporting workers, and protecting the livelihoods. It's pretty amazing what they've done in Singapore there. And at the same time, for us in Myanmar, the first cases were confirmed very late in March, almost 2 months after Singapore. This somehow allowed us, companies and businesses here in Myanmar, to prepare more and to have our continuity and contingency plans in place. However, for us, like most of the world, I think it was hard to understand and accept the scale of the problem and the fact that it will come and hit us well in Myanmar too. So until we actually had the firm cases confirmed in Myanmar on 23rd of March, which is exactly 2 months after Singapore, I believe that there were not all actions taken appropriately, and we're still hoping for some kind of relief. As shown on slide 9, during the first confirmed cases, we were having ongoing operations in Myanmar. So we were having logistics operation, mobilizing mud pumps and some of the major equipment to the well site in the northern Myanmar, across the country. We also were doing some civil works and upgrade of the infrastructure in the field. And we had a 3D seismic operation. So altogether, we had around 400 people in the field involved in different parts and different operations at the time when first cases were confirmed and the lockdown measures were implemented by the government here. So healthcare and welfare systems in Myanmar are still weak, and we had to focus a lot on prevention, increasing the awareness and control of compliance. And this was done together by the government and in close cooperation with the businesses and communities. As slide 10 illustrates, we've been putting in place all the COVID safety protocols at the site, at the offices, and together the government was inspecting all the facilities of the companies operating, and very stringent procedures put in place to prevent the spread of the COVID. In the beginning of COVID protocols in Myanmar and response, it was interesting that oil and gas was treated as any other sector. So we didn't have any exemptions or relief from the rules. So we were unable to rotate our personnel and have different difficulties with the logistics. Because we were not able to move people in between even the township, districts, and regions of the country. And later, through the engagement between the private sector and regulators and businesses, oil and gas was added on the essential activities list. And Myanmar authorities actually helped us a lot and arranged inspection and supported the logistics and crew changes with the quarantine requirements, of course. Continued operations, however, we had the choice, either we continue or we have to stop. And none of the options seemed good enough, because we still were lacking a lot of information as to how we're going to move our personnel, how we're going to demobilize them across the borders inside the country, and bringing back the expatriate personnel overseas. So continued operations became increasingly difficult due to all the restrictions, and also due to the shortages of the workforce in the area of operation, logistical challenges, and the practical difficulties of social distancing that were put in place. And the main challenges and emergencies for us that we were experiencing daily were related to third-party contractors and subcontractors on the ground, and the alignment of theirs and ours procedures and COVID-related protocols. And also time limitations and shortages of manpower available in the area of operation, since we were not able to bring new manpower to the sites in the northern Myanmar. So we had to rely more on the local residents and local personnel available, and we started to train and pay more attention to education, training, and improving the skills of the people. Local residents' concerns over spread of virus, it was a big issue as well, because the villages and communities around the area of operation, with a lack of information or a lot of wrong information being out there, we had to take actions and distribute the brochures and try to educate the local community about the spread and social distances, and that's something that was done in cooperation with the government and local authorities in the areas of population. So really we had a dilemma to stop or continue, and we decided to continue, being extra cautious. So as explained on slide 12 that you see right now, the challenge was we needed to take immediate and proactive actions and decisions. We needed to transform our operations in a way that will provide safety to our personnel and ensure continuity of the field operations. Some solutions were put in place for our 3D projects and the upgrade of the infrastructure improvements. Of course, we implemented strict COVID safety policy and procedures and imposed strictly the same on all contractors and subcontractors. We restricted all interactions. We had to suspend all the community engagement and public consultations that normally take place continuously during the operations. We had to restrict and stop that. And interaction with the local villagers, local authorities was minimized to the extent that only essential and critical meetings could be held. And we've ensured extended medical, food, fuel, and material supplies in the short term, because we didn't know how the logistics challenge will escalate in the near future. We've also arranged isolated quarantine facilities at site, allowing all new-coming personnel to be isolated from the staff that stays currently at sites. We've had to extend work shifts and limiting all rotations personnel in and out, together with imposing 14 days quarantines. And they had to launch a daily education and awareness programs, sharing official information from WHO and Myanmar Ministry of Health and Safety, because they needed to make sure that information is up to date, that's accurate, and that our own personnel and our contractors and subcontractors are on track of the situation and aware of the latest updates. We've also sourced and trained local manpower in the region, district, and township, again, because we were not able to bring all personnel from across the borders. we've provided educational brochures and flyers to surrounding villagers and spoke to village chiefs, and we're trying to make sure that we help as much as we can and we're able to supply accurate information and support to those areas. So we've gained a lot of experiences through this time, and of course it was challenging time, but now looking back, being in the second half of 2020, I think it's a good time to reflect and really capture some lessons learned from this COVID and how it changed and transformed our operations. The pandemic reminded us of importance to prepare or over-prepare for everything. Though most of the companies would have their business continuity, contingency plans, but the question is how practical, actionable they are, and how much attention really pay to these plans, and how our staff and contractors are aware of those plans and prepared to work closely with you. So I think one of the lessons learned we've got from this pandemic is also it's very important to maintain very close and clear communication with your own personnel and with your regulators, with your communities, because like never before, important daily communication allowed us to finish safely the projects on the ground, and only in the close cooperation with the regulators and authorities we were able to do that, and with their support. So communication is very important. Another lesson learned that we had from the pandemic is that many companies and PSC operators would normally have so-called education and training funds. However, not often we can hear about contingency and emergency funds. This is something that we could all consider implementing and establishing contingency and emergency funds and budget together with the regulators or together with the operators, other stakeholders, or even service companies. This is one of the things that perhaps we all should be thinking about. Of course, COVID was all about transformation and optimization of all processes and operations. So especially logistics and travel, I think we will never travel as we traveled before, and realize we can do a lot of work remotely, a lot of work online, and thanks to the digital tools that we have today, or we have them for a long while, but that those that we use more often, realize how much actually can be done remotely. And this is an important lesson learned. I think even the office and work environment will change forever now, and we need to see the office from different perspectives, office environment, this interaction, and a lot of things can be done from home. Another essential lesson learned for us from COVID was reliance on how big is the reliance on the remote and foreign support for operations. And actually, it's another reminder that we need to really increase localization and working more towards local containment and training local personnel, supporting local businesses, establishing and supporting local facilities. It's critical in the countries like Myanmar especially. It will minimize the reliance on remote foreign manpower where possible, and also it will reduce physical interaction to when it's truly necessary. And it will have a great impact on the cost as well. Because I believe cost leadership strategy is becoming something not only for small and medium companies, but for large companies as well to implement. We need to work more efficiently, more cost efficiently. Engaging in a more productive and close dialogue with regulators is becoming a must for all companies. Of course, producing companies may be seeking some tax relief and compensatory mechanism. For others, another possible compensation would be an extension of timelines, since we were unable to complete projects in the same way as we would do without all these challenges. It's a time where probably many companies will be deferring, postponing their non-committed programs and projects, and you need to have a good communication channel and dialogue. You need to be able to discuss the reduction or change of the minimum work commitments under the PSC, and this all will require a good dialogue with the regulators and the businesses. Human collaboration, even this summit, is a great example of the power of human collaboration, the power of sharing ideas and creating new ways of doing businesses. And possible collaboration that we see today in the oil and gas and upstream sector, we think we should work more closely with the service companies and looking at the new ways of collaboration and come up with a new type of agreements when service companies and operators were more closely working on the project as partners and not just the client and contractor. I think that this summit is a great initiative, and something going forward, such as a permanent online platform for sharing experience and for sharing ideas, would be something really valuable. We hope that the pandemic has not only created new problems, but also stimulated us to think more about transformational solutions, because many problems, they were out there in the industry for a while, and the COVID-19 just brought these problems forward and made it critical for industry to look at. I want to finish my presentation with the powerful words of Colin Powell. He said that there are no secrets to success, and the success, it's a result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. So I think we all should work hard and learn from the COVID and move forward together and stronger.